Welcome to Choir Success, helping your choir or chorus survive and thrive in the 21st century. And today I have with me Katy Cadman, who is the founder of the very successful MomChoir here in Vancouver, BC. And if you enjoy the content today, please don't forget to press the like button. We make one video every week, and so if you'd like to be notified, subscribe and click on the bell icon. Katy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tom. Good to see you.
So let's dive right in. What is MomChoir?
MomChoir is what it sounds like. It's a choir for moms, a local community choir auditioned, and a lovely group of humans who come together once a week to sing.
I gotcha. And so how did it all get started? I've sort of heard the story of MomChoir, but I'd love to hear it straight from you.
Well, I sing in a local a cappella group called Sweet Scarlet, and there's 6 of us. And since we started 10 years ago, we have all become mothers. And I recognized during the motherhood process that it can really overtake your life. And I think a lot of women tend to forego the things that once brought them joy and devote their entire lives to their children. So we were actually doing a little tour of the island, and we got into some conversations during our trips on the ferries. And someone asked me, what would I do if I wasn't teaching? And I said, I'd love to start a community choir in my retirement. And for some reason, I was not retired, but actually on maternity leave with my 3rd child, and thought, wait a second, maybe there's something here. So before you know it, I was up on my phone and I'm Googling names, and all of a sudden I thought, what about just MomChoir? I mean, that's what I'm thinking about. Maybe there's other moms who would love to lose themselves in the music, as it were. And so we ended up Googling and finding this domain free. And then this idea was sparked, and I had to start thinking about how I'd potentially start this, or if people were even interested.
Right, but it turned out that they were, right? You had quite a response to your initial outreach.
I did. Once I get an idea, sometimes I can't let it go. So I thought I'll just put it on social media. And there's a North Vancouver moms Facebook page. And I thought, I'm just going to throw it out there. It's probably going to be a huge flop. No one's going to be interested. And at least I'll know if this idea has merit or not. Expecting very little return for my question. I posted my thoughts. I have this idea to do a choir for moms. I'd like it to be auditioned. I want us to focus on music, musicality, and kids are not invited. So who's in? Well, I had over 100 women respond. So from there on, I realized this was actually an idea worth pursuing.
And I guess kids not being invited is part of the value proposition, right?
It's part of the perk, right? I thought, let's make rehearsal time right at bedtime so we can remove ourselves from that task in the evening.
Right, right. And I guess your life must be fascinating because you're a teacher. You've got 3 little kids. I assume you still sing in your a cappella group.
I do.
And you're running this choir. How do you make all that work in your life?
I think it's about prioritizing. I mean, obviously my family does come first, but music is a really important part of my life. And I think recognizing that, and also carving out just a little bit of time each week to pursue that passion has really added to the quality of my life. And I think if I can provide that for other women, why not give it a try? And it turned out, it was a raging success. And I've got about 60 women now in my group. And, for many of them, this is the one thing they do a week for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I love to think that there are niches of people who would love to sing, who just need to find the right way to do it, or the right message so they can get started. It sounds like you really stumbled across just exactly something like that, a group of people for whom this was meeting a real need.
I agree. And I think that, I didn't know it until I put it out there into the universe, until you I popped it on the internet, but recognizing that there's so many people out there who have joy in singing, and they might do it around the house. They might do it, with friends, or get together and play kind of band music or campfire tunes. But music is so pervasive in our day-to-day. And I think that choir for them is something they maybe haven't thought about. And then when you kind of explore further, you recognize that coming together as a community of singers is a powerful thing. And when they're faced with the opportunity, I think a lot of people are actually really eager to sign on and participate.
Yeah, I believe anybody can sing. Like just about literally anybody can learn how to sing. Even though it seems like so many people, they'll tell you, "Oh, I can't sing at all, and I'm so terrible. I don't even want to sing in the shower." But I believe they actually can, and finding these opportunities to they probably haven't thought of singing in a group, but that's a great way to get started, right? Because if there's 60 people, you've got
it's a beautiful thing. I mean,
yeah.
it's I kind of look at it as a team, right? Like we're all a team doing the same thing together, but you're still able to do it individually, and yet you're completing another thing with a group of people. So you are an active participant in an action that's happening in real time. You know, we all breathe at the same time, we sing the phrase at the same time, we're feeling the emotions at the same time. And because music is so complex, when you're learning and you're performing, you know, everything else in your life kind of falls by the wayside, and we're able to just be present in a moment with other people. And I don't think you have to stand out as an individual. I think it's all about blend and community. So actually, for those who feel nervous or shy or uncomfortable being in the spotlight, it's a beautiful activity to be a part of.
Yeah, and there's a certain amount of anonymity when there's 60 people up on the risers, right? Like
Absolutely.
you're not really exposed in the same way that a soloist would be exposed, right?
Exactly. And I think there's a lot of choirs out there for everybody too.
There are certainly a lot of different kinds. An excellent segue to if you're watching today and you know of a brand new choir in your area, why don't you write it in the comments below along with the name and where you're from. That would be amazing. So, and as I understand it, the initial idea has now expanded a little bit to include a couple of other groups. Am I right in thinking that?
You are correct. So I'm really thrilled to announce that MomChoir is becoming kind of more franchise. So we're going to be having North Shore choirs, and then under that branch, we're going to have MomChoir. We've now got 2 kid choirs happening, and the goal is to hopefully end up with youth choirs as well, and maybe dad choir. You never know, dad bod choir could take off, and we could do something like that. But right now we do have 2 kid choirs at full capacity, and they are junior level and a senior level up to grade 7. And those are running with my amazing colleague, Suzanne Fulton, who is a world-class conductor. So
amazing. It reminds me a little bit of, I don't know if you're aware, but I actually make software for choirs, and I had a customer in the Ontario area called Shout Sister. And there were, if I'm not mistaken, 26 sort of franchise model. Sadly, they did not survive the pandemic, but you know, very similar to your model. But they had 26 groups, and some of them were really big, like 100 women. And so it reminds me of that, and they were very, very successful, and I think there's a good chance that you could be just as successful with what you're doing. And so just at a functional level, you know, how does the group work? You charge some money, and then you buy some things, you buy venues, you pay staff to work on things. Like at a high level, how do you make this work day to day?
that's a really good question. And I think something I didn't know I was getting into until I got into it. And like I said, when this idea started going, and I had all these women who were interested in auditioning, I recognized, okay, I need to move forward. How do I do the business part of choir?
Right.
So you know, before you know it, I was renting spaces. I was looking for locations that were central. I was getting insurance. I was doing kind of all this legwork before my group had actually formed yet, because you actually do need to have those provisions in place before you can start. Then came the branding piece. I was like, what do I want the logo to look like? What do I want? What is my mandate for this group? What do I want our mission statements to look like? So you start to look at the business from that standpoint. And then I had these incredible women in front of me, and that also helps to shape your vision. You know, you've got a group who was actually really interested in giving back to the community and wanting to participate in community activities and fundraising activities. So, you know, that became a big part of where we're headed. And then from there, you know, yes, they pay fees to be part of it. So that helps to pay for our rent and our insurance and the accompaniment. And we have got an incredible accompanist and for my fees. And then we also have revenue from concerts and ticket sales and things like that.
Yeah, well, I guess with quite a few singers that all have families and friends, it's probably not too hard to sell out a venue, right?
We sell out rather quickly, so we are fortunate in that realm for sure.
Yeah, that's really good. And what are your general plans for this organization in the future, say like a 5-year time frame?
That is something I'm talking with my partner Suzanne about what is our goal here. I think moving into branching out and adding youth into the equation. We are both high school music teachers, so I think we both have a passion for working with youth. I'd love to see us connect with the community. We were able to do a fundraising concert for the Pacific Postpartum Support Society, and we raised $11,000 for them. So having the power of music propel a social justice need or something where, we feel close, it feels like it hits close to home. I think we'll continue connecting with the community in that way, and hopefully building a solid foundation of choral music on the North Shore.
Yeah, that makes sense. You reminded me of something that Morna Edmondson said in a recent interview I did with her. She's about to take over as the new president of Choral Canada.
I love Morna. She's fantastic.
Everybody loves Morna. Why wouldn't you? Yeah. But she was talking about how Choral Canada is really changing the way that they define quality, particularly because not everybody is aiming for the same kind of, imagine the best sort of traditional choir that you can. And in her mind, it would be, say, a UBC sort of 40 fantastic trained singers, all of that stuff, doing traditional choral rep. But that excludes so many people, and she specifically called out a social justice focused choir where quality would be really in the impact that they're having, and they wouldn't, it doesn't make sense to judge on the same criteria.
I would agree with her. And I think the beauty of choir is in the repertoire, really, and thinking about what message you want to send to your audience. And sometimes it's just about creating joy and a space for togetherness and community. And then sometimes you can really pick repertoire to relay a point and convey something to your audience. And that's exactly what we did when we planned our concert for the Pacific Postpartum Support Society. Was what is the journey of motherhood like? And it's and all sides of it, and sometimes the hard parts too.
And do you have any, having gone through this process, do you have any advice for somebody else who might want to start a choir in their area? What kind of preparation should they do? What pitfalls should they take care to avoid?
I think there's room for everybody. Vancouver has so many beautiful choirs out there, but I think there's always an opportunity to add to the choral community in your area. And so to really use your passion and use your own stance to think about what area could be fulfilled in this space. What kind of choirs are around me? What is missing? And what mission or goal do I have that I can share? And I think using your own passions to propel your idea forward is really helpful. And to put yourself out there, like take that leap of faith, take the risk, because it's certainly worth it. It is one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done. And continue to do. It brings me great joy. It's a lot of work, and you have to be prepared to put that time in, but it will pay out in dividends. And, some of the pitfalls to avoid are you really just need to know where you're headed. You need to have a vision for what it is you're looking for. I mean, if it's going to be a community choir where everyone is welcome, that is a great way to start. If you're looking at auditioned, like for me, it was an audition treble group, because that's what I know. I've always sung an a cappella treble group. So for me, that was where I really wanted to hone in, but also the idea of motherhood. So anyone who identifies as a mother, you're welcome in our community. Thinking about who it would best serve and what you'd like to do performance wise. What kind of repertoire do you love? Is it world music? Is it local music? Is it, new Canadian songwriters? There's so many beautiful things out there. There's a barbershop. Shop. There's so many incredible things to explore. But I think having a vision for what it is you like to do, who it could best serve, and where you're headed with it is where you want to start.
Yeah, it's really good advice. I think also having faith that almost everybody would like to sing if they could only figure out how to do it.
I agree. And for some people, it's just that little gentle nudge.
Yeah, very good.
Get them there.
And to the audience, have you ever started a choir of your own? And if you have, what are your best tips? Write them into the comments below. And so where can people go to learn more about Mom Choir and Kid Choir and your various franchise opportunities?
Well, we've got momchoir.com and kidchoir.com, so they can certainly check out our websites. We've also got pretty active Facebook pages and Instagram pages as well. Easy to find, and we certainly would love to see you at an upcoming show.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And remember, if you enjoyed the content, please press the like button to bless the YouTube algorithm. And if you'd like to be notified of future episodes of Choir Success, please subscribe and click on the bell icon.